there, you're listening to Not Another TV podcast. This is episode 31, the week of January 6th, 2024. That's not a real date. Someone made that. Who put that in my notes? That's not a real date. My name's Drew Koenig. With me, as always, my co-host, Mads Sassy. Mads, we're in the new year. How it feels?
Yeah, we are. And I had this startling realization today that I turned 35 this year, and I don't know who allowed that to happen. So that's something I'll be contemplating for the next 10 months.
Shut up.
Listen, I wasn't supposed to live past like 18, so listen.
No, yeah, I turned 34 this year, so shut up.
I mean,
you're being too loud.
being too loud.
You're being too loud. You shut up.
I just turned 34 and I'm already like, I had this, my friend posted a thing on Twitter where they're like, show your picture and how old you're gonna be in 2024, and I was just like, oh shit, I'm gonna be 35.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck no. Nope.
Minute in, and I'm already telling you to shut the fuck up. Alright.
We're off to a great start this year.
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
It's gonna be a great year, Drew.
It's gonna be a great year. So, how was your holidays? Christmas, New Year's, miscellaneous days.
It was pretty good. My roommate and I took advantage of our mutual 3-day weekends, 2 weeks in a row, and we watched the first season of Riverdale. And I hung out with my really good friend Rob last night, and he looked at me across the diner table and goes, "So how's Riverdale?" And I go, "Shut up. It's only one season in," and I'm already like, there's a lot of bullshit going on. But Cheryl is my queen. I am obsessed with Cheryl. So yeah, it's been a decent start to the new year.
It's so wild.
I was like, why did we agree to do this again? Oh, right. My roommate wanted to see the show that has Skeet Ulrich in it. So here we are.
Skeet Ulrich is such a crazy motivating factor to watch Riverdale.
Listen, my roommate loves the original Scream, and it's hard to explain, but Skeet Ulrich in a leather jacket is her type. Her other image, the other image of her type is Derek Hale on Teen Wolf, so like you get the idea. You get the picture.
Right, I get it. Yeah. No, the thing that always made Riverdale worth watching for me was just listening to our friends of the show, the Aficionados, talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
Because they deeply enjoyed the show on a weird level that I can never quite relate to. And yeah, they always broke that down really nicely.
There was one episode we were watching, and I just remember my roommate saying to me, or well, generally saying to the TV, not to me, "Cheryl, what are you doing?" And I wasn't even like paying attention to the screen. I was like looking at my phone, and I go, being overly dramatic. And I look up, and she is standing next to a fire, holding a candelabra that is lit. And I'm like, yeah, she's being overly dramatic. Like, and then 2 seconds later, she's out on the pond that's frozen over and falling into the water. And I'm like, you're an idiot. Listen, I will keep you guys apprised of our continuation of this watch. I can't say it's a rewatch because I've only watched 1.5 seasons of it prior to this, but yeah, we'll see how this goes. How was your holiday?
I worked a lot, so that was less than stellar. But for Christmas, my family did pitch in and got me a PlayStation 5.
Nice.
Because I basically can't play anything anymore. Because I had like a PS4 and an Xbox One, and gaming has decidedly moved past that. So I've been playing Spider-Man 2 and Baldur's Gate 3, which is just so great. It's such a good game.
That's awesome.
They're both very good games, but Baldur's Gate 3 is just very much like very much our shit, you know? Like very enjoyable.
I will take your word for it. I'm not a gamer, so all that means nothing to me.
Right.
I finally got to upgrade my phone after 4 years, so I have been living with like one of the oldest versions of the iPhone that you can possibly have in the year 2023. And now I've finally upgraded, and I upgraded all the way up to a 15. So it was like a major like adjustment.
Right.
No more home screen, no more um headphone jack, like there's none of this stuff. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I literally brought it into the store to because I switched from a non-contract phone service to T-Mobile, and the guy at T-Mobile was just like, those still exist? And I was like, oh, is that how old my phone is? I haven't kept track.
I refuse to upgrade my phone past like XR.
Yeah.
Because like there's a certain point with iPhones where it got just too big and
Yeah,
unwieldy,
that's
and I'm
valid.
like, I don't wanna.
Yeah, my old phone is decidedly at least 2 to 3 inches smaller than my new phone, and it's like weird because I'm like, this is too big of a phone. Like it's a little too big for me.
Yeah.
Also, I don't really like the whole you can't use your fingerprint anymore. You have to use your face, and I'm like, I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't like that.
AI doesn't need my face.
No. Yeah. I say I won't go past an XR, but I had to be dragged kicking and screaming from like 5 to XR.
I had the iPhone SE. That's what I traded in. So
I think that was
it,
about what I had before.
yeah, it's old. It's old.
Yeah.
Like they were like, yeah, would you be interested in an iPhone 15 on us? And I'm like, sure, if it means I don't have to pay a lot for a
Fine.
phone. Absolutely.
So we're moving on into the new year. Who even knows what this year will bring though? Because last year was weird. Hopefully this year is less weird.
Yeah, it's like so weird for me to be like, oh, such and such shows are premiering next, in 2 weeks. And I'm like, it should be me saying they're coming back from hiatus in 2 weeks. But
Right.
no, we're saying they're premiering in 2 weeks. Like it's weird.
Yep.
Oh, good old strikes.
That's right. um, I was excited to hear that Arcane is coming back soon, though. Not soon.
It's on my list to someday watch, but it's not like top priority of things because there's so many things to watch out in the world, and it's
I
on
think
my list.
it
So at least
should
it's on my
move
list.
higher. Wherever it currently is, it should move higher up.
How do you know? I could have some really awesome things on my list.
You could. I'm really saying that the animation quality is so high on Arcane. And it will come out in November.
We'll see.
You have time, but
We'll see. You know how I feel about animated things. I'm very very picky.
God, if only there was some resolution you had that would prompt
I
you.
know I had a resolution. Shut up.
God, wouldn't that be helpful?
Damn, I knew that would bite me in my butt. Actually, I was at my New Year's Eve party with my friends, and there's this gay Chinese manga, or not manga, anime that my friend was like, you need to watch this, but you can only watch it on this particular website because it's like very like hard to find outside of its native country. And I was like, okay. And he's like, it's queer as fuck. And I'm like, okay, cool. And he's like, and it's got magic and like darkness and light and like all that stuff. I'm like, all right, cool. I watched like the first few episodes and I really enjoyed it. But then like my brain got sidetracked and it's been 6 months. And I told him on New Year's Eve, I was like, guess what? I'm gonna actually finish that show this year. And he's like, I'll believe it when I see it. I was like, no, I have a TV resolution to finish or actually watch more anime and animation and stuff. And he's like, okay, we'll see. He doesn't even have faith that I'm going to succeed. All right. I will put Arcane on my list for things to watch this year.
Okay. Yeah, because if you are going to watch like animated TV, I think like Arcane is one of the best animated shows of the last 5 to 10 years.
All right, cool.
But
I'll move it up.
I am super excited for it to come back in November. Because it's been 3 years since Arcane season 1 came out.
Is it because the animation takes that long, or is it just because they're assholes and they took that long?
Well, let me put it this way: the first season for Arcane took years upon years to make, because the animation is so high quality. So 3 years sounds right.
Okay, because I don't really know like what sounds average or what doesn't with regards to animation, just because it's not something I'm super familiar with.
Typically animation is done, like if you're watching an animated show, that was probably done a good year beforehand.
Okay.
If not 2 years. So this is kind of industry standard, but a little bit more, because Arcane again is just some of the best animation that has existed in the last few years. So I do look forward to you eventually getting to that.
I will keep you posted.
Despite it being insane, like being based on insanely goofy League of Legends bullshit.
Next week I'm doing a press event for the Connors and I'm so excited. And I'm like, and then I have to wait another month for the show to actually come back. Which is fine. It is what it is. I'm shocked that it's even coming back, because as much as I love it, I know it's, and they say it's one of ABC's top comedies, but I'm like, here's the thing, there's not that many ABC comedies, so that's not really saying much. So, you know, it is what it is. But yeah, no, that's the thing. I mean, I'm also looking forward to One Chicago coming back, aka more specifically Chicago Fire, because I don't really watch PD or Med unless it's a crossover. That's some stuff that I'm looking forward to. It's like I would, when we did our end of the year, it was like, oh my god, so many of the shows I love ended this year. So I'm like, I gotta find new stuff to watch.
Yeah, definitely. Touched on some stuff in our last episode. I mean, I really just don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about Andre Brower dying again, because it's just really rough.
Yep.
It was so unexpected and so out of the blue. Just a tremendous loss. So I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, no. Trust me, I get you. I was watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine the other day and I was just like, ugh. No one else could have played that character.
Yeah.
No one else. Yeah. And then we were watching a documentary about TV from the 90s. It was a documentary series about the 90s, and like we were watching the TV episode and they were talking about homicide life on the streets, and I was just like, oh, now I'm sad. Because he was good on that too.
Yeah.
But anyways, yep.
Anyways, let's talk about something a little more fun, which is the numbers to Netflix released.
Oh, I did not read those.
Did you not read those? So, Netflix released its essentially its ratings for, I believe it was the first 6 months of 2023.
Okay.
If it wasn't the full year. And it was kind of, it was both enlightening and kind of depressing.
Mm-hmm.
Just seeing like what everyone watched and what like actually did get watched versus like what didn't get watched. I and I tweeted and posted on Blue Sky about this, how like I was looking for like how many people actually watched like Warrior Nun last year.
Yeah.
And it was a lot less than what I was hoping for. I was hoping for like a kind of a fuck you number at
Mm-hmm.
Netflix, and I didn't get that. I don't remember what the exact number was, but it was very far down the list.
Oh,
But it was
that's
like,
sad.
yeah, and it was kind of typical to like the numbers overall were pretty typical to like what you would expect. I was shocked at the sheer number of like older shows that like were very high up on Netflix's list. Yeah, so like some of the biggest ones were like the Night Agent season 1, Ginny and Georgia, Wednesday, Queen Charlotte, You season 4, Outer Banks
Mm-hmm.
season 3, uh, Ginny and Georgia season 1. Yeah, and it was kind of depressing, like just to look at like how much like we've criticized Netflix for like canceling queer centric shows, but like
Yeah.
queer shows aren't showing up high on this list.
Yeah. I was like, I'm a little surprised that Heartstopper's not up there. Like, I feel like that's something that I felt like a lot of people was watching, but I guess maybe in my queer cultivated spaces it feels that way because there's only queer people.
Yeah. Like I'm looking at the top 100 shows, and it's not breaking through.
That's
Um,
crazy.
I think the first show that I can really see that had like any kind of prominent queer representation was Exo Kitty, which was the To All
Mm-hmm.
the Boys I Loved Before spinoff.
Yeah.
And that's like the one, like really. Um,
Mm. Well, maybe Heartstopper. You said it was the first 6 months of 2023.
I believe it was. Yeah.
Okay, so Heartstopper premiered at the beginning of August, so maybe
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
maybe it went up in August. But like, I still figured it would at least season one would rank a little bit, but I guess not.
I guess so. Yeah. These were from January to June.
Okay.
Um, but it is interesting. You also see shows like New Amsterdam season 1 ranking pretty high. Manifest season 1. Um,
Listen, no one wanted to watch New Amsterdam beyond season one.
Walking Walking Dead season 11. Um, I think I saw Breaking Bad on here at pretty high.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Breaking Bad season 2 would have been at about
Interesting.
80, I think.
Yeah. Well, and then
Uh,
towards the end of the year, like I know what's gonna break in is gonna be Suits because that's like had its like revolution because it got moved to Netflix. And
right,
like
and even here, Suits season 2 ranking about 85, I think.
yeah, like but yeah, it really like surged towards the end of the year. But yeah.
Mm.
Um which I'm grateful for because that's one of my top favorite shows. But yeah.
That's all. That's all the news I want to cover, and we don't have any more time. So we're gonna move on to the goat. Um, so the GOAT is a weekly segment we do here on the podcast where myself and Mads nominate a best TV character or episode of all time and pit them against each other on a poll on Twitter and TikTok.
Hmm.
Um, so it is time for another redemption round where myself and Mads get to pick a uh, GOAT that lost in a previous round and try again.
Hmm.
Uh, So, I'm adding a wrinkle to this that I think will be fun. So with every 10 goat picks, and we'll call that a batch. Whoever won the most goat rounds, in this case, Mads, you won 6 to my 4. And so the winner, again, Mads, will get to make the loser, myself in this case, watch anything they want.
Yes.
So, we will settle that next week.
Yes, because I have to think long and hard. Because I also have to ask you questions throughout the week. Because I'll probably think of a show and be like, I don't know if Drew's watched this. So we'll think about it. I have an idea of what I think I want you to watch, but we'll see.
I do be watching things.
And I if it is the thing that I pick, you're only gonna have to watch one season of the show because it has many seasons.
Okay.
And no, it's not Degrassi. I promise.
Okay. So, since I lost this whole thing, I'm gonna go first with my pick for the GOAT, or for this redemption round. And I'm picking the one that will ensure my survival because I'm pretty sure that Brittany Ray is planning my destruction if I don't redeem myself here.
Okay.
I think that she will come and actually do me bodily harm. So I am doing the X-Files season 3, episode 4, Clyde Bruckman's final Repose. And yeah, just great all-time episode. Yeah, I love this episode so very much. It's a very good psychic episode. I've already done my spiel for this in the past, but we'll do it again. Just outstanding. A really good twist on like the psychic trope, and how much like causation versus effect there is in that particular concept, and also just the way that Mulder and Scully react to that throughout the episode is just so great. I love it dearly. So yeah, that's my pick.
All right. Well, the last time we did a redemption round, I did the Obi-Wan Kenobi pick of Reva, and I feel like I should just keep with the theme of trying to redeem Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series. Because, listen, I think it was a really well done series. It's one of the better of the Star Wars series, in my opinion. And I will stand on that hill and die there, and I don't care. So I'm going to pick Obi-Wan Kenobi, season 1, episode 3, chapter 3. And because of the battle sequence between Obi-Wan Kenobi and Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader, like, that's the whole reason the episode is great. Like, the choreography for it is wonderful. The emotionality that underlies everything that happens in this episode is just so well done. And Hayden Christensen does his absolute best to kind of bring more depth to Anakin Skywalker, who previously has only been like this whiny little bitch child. As because we see a bit of Anakin when the mask of Vader gets broken, during the battle, and like he has this way of reaching Obi-Wan beyond Obi-Wan looking at him as Vader. He's like, he has a way of really unsettling his old master, and it's beautifully done. It's a great episode. I will die on this hill a million times over that Obi-Wan Kenobi, the series, deserves more love, but especially chapter 3. You'll probably win.
So you can go vote for both of these on Twitter and TikTok. You know, 2 days to vote once it goes live. And be sure to like and follow our pages on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatnot. And leave us listener questions or show recommendations on any of those platforms. So without anything else, let's move on into our TV lineup for the week.
I'm lost in the darkness. What will this bring? Autumn descends on me. Autumn.
What do I see? Oh, so beautiful. My heart, it beats so magical.
I'm lost in the darkness.
So we're kicking things off talking about Adventure Time and our continued rewatch with season 6, episode 3, James 2, episode 5, Breezy, and episode 10, Something Big. So let's start with James 2, an episode that has so much total whiplash from the other episodes. And especially the episode that was just before this, where Finn lost his arm. That I was like, I cannot. Like, it always feels weird when I'm doing a rewatch of Adventure Time, and we just go from Finn losing his arm, to wacky hijinks with James's.
What exactly is James? Like,
I think he's like,
he looks like a grilled cheese sandwich, but I feel like that's not correct because that's not a sweet. I don't know. Maybe he's just like an ice cream sandwich kind of thing. I don't know.
I do think he's supposed to be like an ice cream sandwich.
I don't know. I was just like staring at it, watching it, and I was just like, what exactly is he?
But like that's kind of weird because like there is like there actually are princesses that are like ice cream princesses.
Mm-hmm.
Like in Breezy, we see like the yogurt, frozen yogurt princess.
Yeah, and Jake is like, this looks like a mix up of PB and Fire Princess.
Yeah. So
And she kind of
Wikipedia says that James is a wafer.
Oh, okay. That does make sense.
Like kind of.
Okay. He just doesn't look enough like a wafer for me to know that without reading that he's a wafer. But now that I know it, like, it makes sense.
Yeah. I think that's the idea. That he is a wafer. But it is just such a silly episode of
It's so silly.
James faking his death
so he can get heroic medals and also have friends.
Right. And he did this. There are 25 Jameses, so he faked his death 24 times.
Yep. I can't.
It's a very fun episode between like the interaction between like the 25 Jameses and the banana guards.
Oh my god. And I love when they run into the glove store and the banana guards are like, where are they? These aren't the guys they have, and then the gloves fall off and they're like, wait a minute, get them.
Yeah, it's just like it's an idiot convention from beginning to end.
It is. And I love when PB goes up to the roof and she's like, why aren't you guys helping? And they're like, no, sit and watch this for a minute.
Yeah. And I love
she
that
does,
part
and she realizes how entertaining it is.
Yeah, I love that part of it too. Of like PB being like utterly exasperated, and Finn and Jake just like pure vibes.
Yep.
Just rolling off these vibes. They're just like,
they're sitting on the roof and they're eating the roof and watching what's going on below. It's hilarious.
But I do have a question of like, PB, you're gonna catch these 25 Jameses. What is your plan?
Yeah, what are you gonna do with those Jameses?
Are you
also zombie James isn't so dead?
Yeah, not so dead. Like, was her plan always to exile the Jameses, or was the initial idea I'm gonna kill these, kill 24 Jameses?
The world may never know.
The world may never know. Yeah, and our continued Princess Bubblegum antagonist check-in. But also, PB, should you not have caught on to the fact that James had died 24 more times, and that maybe there was some tomfoolery afoot?
Yeah.
Like, it makes PB seem a little too dumb.
But also, I loved how I kind of appreciated the Banana Guard for being so frustrating to PB when she's showing them the picture of the perpetrator. And they're like, wait, you okay, well, what do the other 24 look like? She goes, exactly like this. Oh, so they're brothers? No, they're clones. What does that mean? Like, it's just so... It's like, you deserve this, PB, because you're an idiot.
Right. No, I love
this
that
problem.
I love that interaction of one of the Banana Guards going, so they're Vegeta quintuplets? And the other one goes, you mean they're Vegeta quintuplets? And PB's like, no, they're not Vegeta quintuplets. Also, why do you know that word?
I didn't know that was a thing.
I guess 25 twins are... I also...
It's 25 and then quintuplet. And it's just like, it's like 20 and quintuplet. And I'm like, that what?
And now to take the tone in the entire different direction. We went from dark tone, silly tone. Now we're going back to dark tone. With Breezy.
Finn has major depression.
Yeah, this is just an episode of depression and really unhealthy coping mechanisms.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like, we talked last episode with the tower about, like, there's no correct way to deal with trauma. There are, however, incorrect ways to deal with trauma. And seeking out girls to make out, to make yourself feel better,
yep,
is an incorrect way to deal with trauma.
It's a very incorrect way to deal. Because, you know, those girls actually have feelings.
Right.
You might not have any feelings right now because you're so deep in your depression, but they have feelings.
Right.
And you shouldn't be hurting that many people, Finn.
Yeah, but it also does feel like this very valid and accurate portrayal of a teenage boy.
Yes.
And, like, I enjoy the way that Adventure Time kind of shows the warts and all of just growing up, especially growing up as, like, a teenage boy, because it's messy as hell.
Yeah.
And you fuck around a lot. Like, you fuck around a lot and you find out. And so I do appreciate the episode, like, not shying away from that. But also getting caught with, like, a best friend who has feelings for you, and you're like, I don't have anything here. I have nothing to give you, which is rough on, like, every angle of it. And just, like, the authenticity of that. And I think the authenticity of this episode really comes through. And so, like, I think, like, the emotion of this episode is what makes it work.
Yep.
Even if I don't like the ending of this episode. Because it goes away from Finn lost his arm, right?
Mm-hmm.
And now it's just, oh, Finn, you have your arm back. Everything's fine again.
Yeah.
So, like, we're not dealing with that trauma. We're not dealing with that emotion. We're just sweeping right over it.
Yep.
Going back to status quo.
We're locking it in a box, which is not dealing with it. It's just, we'll deal with this later. Okay, well, it's not going to get better. It's going to get worse.
Yeah, it's just going right back to the vault. We know what happens with the vault. Like, the show has shown us that the things in Finn's vault need to come out. And need to be dealt with.
Yep.
And like, if Finn has like a core like character flaw, it is that he does not deal with things.
No, he does not. He bottles them up, and trust me, as someone who has spent many years bottling things up and then dealing with it later on, it's not healthy. It's not helpful.
Yeah. But also, like, here, not giving Finn the space to deal with his loss feels really cheap.
Mm-hmm.
Even if this is just more, grass sword shenanigans.
Yeah.
It is kind of cheap to just abandon that.
This show does some things really well and then other things not so well. So, like, it did a decent job of showing, depression and, like, what it can do to people, but not with how people handle it. So, you got halfway there, Adventure Time. Now you need to finish that sentence.
Yeah. But I also really like I did like the interaction with Dr. Princess at the beginning of the episode. Where Dr. Princess is like, and everyone says you don't talk to Flame Princess. And I love that look on Finn's face of like, who's saying that? Like, that's such a good look.
He's like, wait, who's talking about me?
Who's talking about me? That's not bad. But let's switch over to something big. Which, I mean, the only place to start this is like, man, what a bummer for Root Beer Guy.
Yeah.
Like, and not just Root Beer Guy, but like his wife that we know.
Yeah.
Who now has to mourn the loss of her husband. Like, that shot of the souls being returned to the candy people, and the camera just stays on like the vaporized remains of Root Beer Guy on the ground. Because Darren didn't kill Root Beer Guy. Root Beer Guy kind of did it to himself, for lack of a better word.
Yeah.
Like, he sacrificed himself so that the big machine thing would work. And so, like, that knowledge of, like, oh, he's not going to be okay.
Yeah, I know. It was just so like, rough. In your head, you kind of, like, saw that coming because, like, obviously, like, it was a different type of loss. But, like, you kind of also still held on to that tiny hope of, well, cartoons always have magic workarounds. Like, it's going to magically be okay. Oh, no, mm-hmm. It's not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then, that first half of the episode, like, really, like, bringing to fruition, like, the long series of decisions that, like, Princess Bubblegum has made. Of, like,
yes.
Going to Marceline, meeting Maja the Sky Witch, giving Maja the shirt in exchange for Hambo, and just, like, going down along the line to here.
Yeah.
And it forced, like, the episode never addresses this, but it forces us, the audience, to be like, Pee-Pee is indirectly responsible for Root Beer Guy's death. Because of choices that she made in rare moments of, like, selfishness, essentially.
Yeah.
because of the way that she feels about Marceline. Yeah, it's really rough. It's and the show doesn't make you feel better about that, which I actually really appreciate.
Yeah, they're like, you're gonna have to deal with this. Like sometimes death happens, and there's no reversing it. It kind of actually makes me think. So last night I went to go see the musical Ain't Too Proud with my friend, and there's a line in that show that is sticking with me about one of the guys on the Temptations is dealing with his son and how he spent most of that boy's life on the road and not paying attention to him, and he's like trying to make up for it, and his son's like, well, dad, don't nothing rewind but a song. So you can't turn back, you can't change something as permanent as lost time or a death. And I feel like this episode really personified that. It's like, you can't turn back time, you can't change this death is real, now you have to deal with it.
Which is also the parallel with the ancient psychic tandem war elephant of him being a thing that should not exist in this world.
Yep.
And he has to find a way to deal with that. Because we didn't watch the episode. The ancient psychic tandem war elephant is the result of a wish that Finn and Jake made.
Yep.
You should not exist in this world. He only exists because of Finn and to serve Finn. And without that, you have to find your own purpose. And I do really like the interaction that he has with the son at the end there of I'm so much older than you are, and you just gotta fucking deal, man. You're just you are what you are.
Yep.
You are what you are, and you gotta deal.
Sometimes.
Yeah, it's really neat episode.
Sometimes life ain't pretty.
Okay, so for next week, we're going to be talking about episode 16, Joshua and Margaret Investigations. Episode 19, Is That You? And episode 22, The Cooler.
Okay.
So let's move on to our next show, which is Dimension 20, Season 1, Episode 11, Cold Kids, Cold Case. Speaking of which, junior high starts on Wednesday, and I am so excited.
Honestly, this episode was a fun episode.
Yeah. It really is the fun of just the role play episodes where we've said this before, where they can just do so many different things.
Yep.
And especially with their kind of, what is it Brennan calls it, a narrative montage.
Yeah.
Where it felt like the players had for lack of a better term, had these headcanons that they knew weren't gonna organically fit into
yeah, because he's like, all right, we're gonna pause for a minute. We're gonna recap. How do you think this year has been going for you guys? Because we're in the spring and and I'm like, this is the moment in the episode or the movie where you get the fun music and it's just a montage of things that are happening that don't need dialogue, but these guys are gonna give it dialogue.
Yeah. Fig going back to the hotel to make out with Dr. Asha.
And the pregnancy, I was like, this is so soap opera drama. I love it. It was triplets, but I lost one. No!
But honestly, nothing in this episode was more fun than the last few minutes at the house party.
Oh my god! I was not expecting this.
Yeah, where Aelwyn comes in and she is just because I have like Mean Girls on my brain right now. Of like just like the ultimate like mean girl part of my French bitch, just like coming in, wrecking, just being like the most unproductively chaotic person you can be.
She was very Regina George.
Yes. Like she's very teenage girl, will say something to hurt your feelings.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Like just coming in like an absolute menace. I loved it so much.
It was great. And like some of the stuff that I really enjoyed was I really enjoyed Kristen like being awkward and like you could tell like she was blushing, like that whole like you've just realized that you're gay and now you're going to like interact with people of the same gender that you're attracted to. Like it was just so cute and I really loved it. It was just very stereotypical early teens like realizing your sexuality thing. And I was just like, I want to watch like 10 more minutes of this because it's adorable.
Well, yeah, like kind of side tangent, but like this entire episode of Kristen gay panicking all over the place.
Yes.
And just like more or less rolling nat ones all over the place whenever she gets to talk to any kind of a girl. It's just so funny. Like when she's talking to Tracker, and she's trying so desperately to be cool.
Yeah.
And just Tracker's not giving her an inch of space. It's not making it easy for her whatsoever. It's so funny.
It's so good and it's so relatable too. Like we've been there. We've been there trying to talk to our crush, you know, like it's and it's so great. And I just I love it. And also the beginning. Like the beginning was probably aside from the like the ending and the beginning of this episode were great bookends because they were both hilarious and fabulous in their own ways. And like the whole Iodine at the beginning sending Whisper to him, maybe you're gay. This was the episode of the gays. It was really the episode of the gays. And I really enjoyed that. Like, I mean, if you're having dreams about male teammates where they are centaurs that you ride while naked, maybe you're gay.
It's so good. I also loved every possible interaction between Riz's mom and Fig, where Fig would be like, "Oh, I can do that," and Riz's mom would be like, "No, you absolutely cannot. Sit down." It's like immediately shutting her down, and it's just so great.
It really was. Like, it's so great. Also, just the like going back again to the towards the end where Idine and Eowyn are talking, and because her sister wants to borrow her divination book, and like Idine being like, "Oh, here's my moment. I can be better at something than you. Like I already know this stuff." It's so great, and it's so like stereotypical teenage sisters relationship, which I would know. I have 3 sisters, and like that was me and my older sister all through high school. Like we were 2 years apart, and so like I would always be trying to like have a moment where I stepped out of her shadow and be like, "Oh, look, I'm better at this than you. What? Yes, you can borrow this from me because I don't need it."
Yeah, no, the petty satisfaction is just very enjoyable. But like to go back to that interaction with Tracker, I love that the running joke with Gorgug has gone on long enough that Brennan prepares himself for every time Zach rolls for it to be a nat 1 and to concoct a crazy "Are you my dad" thing.
Yes.
And you can tell, like, Brennan had one ready to go, and Zach rolled really well. And he's like, crap. Okay, I can change this. Because he was all prepared to for to make Zach wonder if Tracker's uncle, the guidance counselor, if he was going to accept, he was just prepared for that to go.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so funny. And then Fabian punching him in the head, like, so good.
Oh my gosh. And then Fabian be like, "Oh my god, I'm so sorry, I didn't mean to hit you that hard."
So good.
Because he rolled higher than he anticipated, and it was just so funny. And you know that Brennan is now having so much fun with them because they're finally getting into a groove of knowing what to do and how to do this. That he's just like, this is so much fun to engage with. Like, you can just tell from his face that he's having the time of his life at this point.
Oh yeah.
He's like, you guys are not being idiots anymore. I can actually enjoy myself.
So let's get off there with Mitch 20. Move over to Doctor Who, the church on Ruby Road. But before we do that, let's do a little catch up by Doctor Who real quick. Let's talk about the end of David Tennant's return to Doctor Who. And the only way I know how to begin this is with this. I have tried really hard to feel good about By Generation, and I can't. My brain just rejects it. Every time I try to be like, this is good, I can't come away with the thought that this is stupid. So that's where I'm at with that.
I didn't have a problem with it. But I will say one of my favorite memes that did come out of that was this one that I saw where it was like, oh, look, Rose has her own doctor. Because, in the alternate universe, Rose got to have a doctor. And now Donna has her own doctor that she gets to keep. And there's Martha going, "Excuse me." And I'm like, it's such a funny meme. And I'm like, but Martha, no offense, you were the worst of David Tennant's companions.
Here's part of the problem I have with it. In that scene with the Doctor, Donna, and the toy maker, where the toy maker is going through like the different iterations of like the Doctor and the companions that have come along since Donna.
Yeah.
And always bookending what happened with them with oh, well, that's all right then. As the kind of commentary of like the way that Moffat would write companions' exits to make you feel better about it.
Yeah.
To be both tragic, but it's actually okay. Amy and Rory got sent back to whatever, but it's okay. They're fine. Clara died, but she's actually okay. It's fine. And then it feels a lot like having your cake and eating it too, which is like the commentary, and also what this episode does, because it doesn't have to reckon with Tennant's doctor leaving again.
Yeah.
It gets to just kind of settle in that, and it feels toothless in a kind of way.
Yeah.
So
I mean, I can see people's criticism of it, and I understand their criticism, but I'm in the camp of, I'm just happy I didn't have to say goodbye to him again. I'm like, I'm cool. I'm okay with that. Like, it is what it is. Do I wish that Shooty Gatswa could have gotten his own, like, moment to come into existence and like not have to share the spotlight, yeah, absolutely. But I also can't 100% hate it because I love that Tennant's doctor gets to take the trauma that the doctor has been through up to this point with him and rest and deal with it and not have to continue saving the world while Ncuti Gatwa's doctor gets to kind of start fresh and like just be vibing. So there are positives and drawbacks, you know what I mean?
Right. And I think the way that I ultimately come down on it is something that Alan Sepinwall said, which is that this is very typical Russell T Davies, where it is completely nonsensical narrative nonsense, like narrative stuff, but the emotionality is so strong that it kind of overrides it.
Yep. Yeah.
But I am still very, I'm still very stuck on it, even weeks later.
That's valid. Yeah, I agree. Like Russell T Davies is very good at being like, I'm gonna throw something at the wall and it's gonna somehow stick. I'm not gonna explain how it sticks, but it's gonna stick.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna cover up the fact that it doesn't make sense that it sticks with this big emotional moment that makes you just be like, oh well, I'm crying and I'm happy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, who cares about how we got here? It's very, very much Russell T Davies. Like that is very much who he is.
Yeah. But with that out of the way, the church on Ruby Road. So what did we think about this? How are we feeling about the beginning of Gatwa's run as the Doctor?
I kind of enjoyed it. Like, I enjoyed the goblin idea and that they were pirate goblins. Like, I found that really funny.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of sets up this nice little mystery of okay, who is Ruby's mother? Like, it seems like it must be important, because they kept mentioning it. So, like, maybe that's something that's going to happen this season. Like, it definitely, she definitely seems like an interesting character, but also not really unique. Like, I feel like she's kind of, I don't know, there's just nothing at this point. I like her, but I don't love her. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, there's nothing about her that I'm like, oh, this really stands out. You know, I'm obsessed with Ncuti Gatwa though. Like, his doctor is fun and whimsical, and it's been a while since we've had that level with the doctor, and it'll be nice to kind of go back to that a bit. And it's definitely a Russell T Davies type of writing for the doctor. Like, it's nice to get back to silly, whimsical, I can change the whole world. Like, he has this hope to him that we haven't seen in the doctor in a while.
Jodie Whittaker had a little bit of that, but it definitely waned at certain points. But I agree with you. Ncuti Gatwa was very good at this. It feels very well calibrated right out of the gate, which is not something doctors are typically very good at.
Yeah.
I've said this before, but like I'm of the opinion that it typically takes about a season for an actor to settle into the doctor, and he feels fairly settled at the beginning. I would be interested to see if this continues when it comes back in May. But him and Millie Gibson have excellent chemistry together, I think.
Mm-hmm. They do.
They work off of each other's energy really well, which I think is a very essential thing for doctor and companion relationship. And yeah, I really like Ruby Rose at the beginning here. She's kind of she's kind of like haphazard and clumsy and very an endearing character. Yeah, it's not super. There's not super lot to dig into though.
I will say one of my favorite scenes is during like towards the beginning of the episode, and the doctor has just, you know, prevented the tragedy of the the snowman falling on someone by being in the spot, and so like it falls on him instead, and then like the police officer approaches him and he's like, name the doctor. Occupation, not really a doctor. And I'm just like, it's just so whimsical and charming, and it's like, okay, this is a totally different version of this character. We can tell that he's not going to take anything too seriously, and I enjoy that. I think that's going to be interesting to explore on a deeper level. And like you said, Ruby Sunday is really great. I like her. I can't really form an opinion about her yet because I need more evidence. Like I do enjoy her, but I'm like, I could end up hating her in the next episode and find her to be very annoying, but like it's a decent start for a companion. So
Yeah.
I don't count my eggs before they're hatched.
So let's move on to What If season 2, Marvel's What If, and I really enjoyed the season. I think the first season felt a little more imaginative, just in terms of like what they were doing and what they were like kind of the ideas at work for each episode. Mm-hmm. But there was still like a lot of really good, quirky ideas happening. At its core, What If does feel like kind of fun one shots of like fan fiction. Mm-hmm. On that, it's a very enjoyable show to watch, and just like to watch writers kind of have fun in this particular sandbox. Of like, what if the Avengers in 1602, or what if the Avengers in the 80s, yeah. Or continuing on with like Captain Carter. So it's like just like fun little things working throughout the season. I think Captain Carter overshadows the season a little too much because she's in like 3 episodes, I think. Mm-hmm. So there's a little too much Captain Carter. I like Captain Carter. But as a kind of anthology standalone, haha, what if we did this? It's a little too much. Yeah. I will say I really liked the addition of Kahori, who was the first Native American superhero. I think she's really good. She's voiced by Devery Jacobs from Reservation Dogs.
Oh, okay.
Laura from Reservation Dogs. And she's very good in that role. I really enjoy her. Her episodes, she gets to speak almost entirely in indigenous languages.
Okay.
That felt really special. Yeah. It is kind of the weird thing of like anything. It's like the weird relationship with canon, Mm-hmm. Where it's like anything that happens in here is just kind of stuck here. It kind of feels like. Yeah. By just the very nature of the format. So I kind of feel bad for Kahori, a character that will probably never break into like MCU proper or like Marvel proper. Mm-hmm. But I really like that. I really like that character, and I would like to see more of her in a kind of general sense. But yeah, I enjoyed the season overall.
Yeah, I watched season 1 and I really enjoyed season 1. I just have reached a point with Marvel that I'm just burned out. And so I was just like, I can't watch another Marvel thing right now. It's too much. Mm-hmm. I think Secret Invasion broke me. I really do.
Yeah. Yeah. There were certain parts of it that I felt weird about. Like, there's a lot of Taika. There's a lot of Jon Favreau. Mm-hmm. Like, it felt like any opportunity the show had to put Taika Waititi or Jon Favreau into it, they took it.
Oh, okay.
which was really like anytime there was like a space thingy, they're like, "What if we brought Taika? What if Taika was here? What if Korg was here?" It's like, okay,
Okay. Listen, I enjoy Taika, but Korg really should have never been more than just like a one-off character.
yeah. I think Korg is in like 3 episodes this season. I think.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Um, I will say, however, one of the episodes he's in where it's basically Nebula as a kind of Blade Runner noir.
Mm-hmm.
Very good. I want like a million more of that.
I will say, like, I feel like my thing with Taika is that I enjoy him, but there's been such an influx of Taika in the last couple years that I'm getting to the point where I'm annoyed with just seeing his face or hearing his voice. And I kind of got the same way with Lin-Manuel Miranda a
I
couple
was
years
just about
ago.
to mention that.
Yeah, like it's very similar to the Lin-Manuel Miranda effect. Like it's just like, okay, we get it. People like him. He does not need to be in everything.
Yeah,
Like,
no.
go away. Absence makes the heart grow fonder. Go away.
Yeah, no. When Lin Manuel Miranda showed up in Percy Jackson, I was like, do we have to?
I knew it was coming, and then I saw it, and I was like, God damn it.
uh,
My thing is that I've met Lin-Manuel Miranda, and I think he thinks way too highly of himself, and I'm just like, that translates into how I perceive you when I see you on screen. So
yeah, I think he was just one of those people who Hollywood was like, oh, he can do like a lot of these things, and then like just had him do too many things, and now he's overexposed.
yeah.
Um,
And Taika's becoming that because it used to be that Taika did these cool, quirky indie films, and now he's, you know, working with Star Wars people and he's working with Marvel people, and it's like now you're becoming too big, and I don't like it.
mhm.
Like,
Yeah,
you're better when you're toned down. Like that is your best at this level, and you're at like the penthouse, and I need you to be on level 3. Like, you need to back off.
yeah, yeah.
Also, I can't stand Taika's wife, so that's its own stupid thing. So like I just think of her whenever I like think about Taika, and I get irrationally angry, and so just like I can't. it's it's a combination of spouse hatred transference and
Mm,
overexposure.
right. Let's move on to Percy Jackson and the Olympians. The first 4 episodes are out.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'll say, as someone who has never read Percy Jackson in any way,
Okay.
shape, or form, um, something I told my sister a couple months ago, and she looked at me aghast.
Yeah, you're around the same age as me, and yet I've read all of them. So I'm like, I can't even be like, oh, well, you're of an age. No, you have no excuse. You should have
I
read.
just haven't read them. Here's here's something even more damning. I have the first book on my Kindle.
Drew, the thing about these books is that they're short and fast reads. Like, you could easily read the first book in probably a day.
I could, but now like we're in it. Now we're in it with the TV show. And I can't. My brain just doesn't. It's okay. We're gonna move on.
It's fine. All right, fine, whatever.
So as someone who has not read the books, I thought this was very good. The first episode is too dark. It's just visually too dark.
Yes, I get what you're saying. Yes, it reminded me of being in the thick of it with Teen Wolf. It really did, because Teen Wolf, the lighting was so terrible, like you could never see anything.
Yeah, especially like Teen Wolf post season 4.
Yes, yes.
Where it was just perpetually dark.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's one of those things where like they do a CG creature, and they're like, we don't have the money to like really fill in this thing, so we're just gonna make it as dark as possible to kind of hide that.
Yep.
Because it's a fine, like the Minotaur is a fine CG creation. You just can't see it. So that's like my main problem with like the first episode is like it's just way too dark.
I will say, having read the books and seen the disastrous movie duology of Percy Jackson, I am grateful that they actually picked children to play these 12-year-olds. Because in the movies, they aged them up, and I'm like, some of these plot points don't make sense if you age them up. Like, you can't age them up. Like, you have to keep them the age that they're written in the book, because, like, it makes more sense. Like, you know, Percy's having to deal with coming into puberty, and also, oh, by the way, not only is it awkward because you're becoming a grown man slowly, you know, and embarrassingly, you also are a demigod. Like, just throw that in there too.
Well,
But
yeah.
like, you know, if you make them like 15 or 16, it's like, okay, the awkwardness is not really that much of an issue. So like finding out you're a demigod, it's like, okay, whatever. It's angsty, but it's not like totally like plot driving, you know what I mean? Whereas with 12-year-olds, yes, it'll drive the plot extremely well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
And it's fun. You know, it's fun that they're the right age. The actors they've chosen are really good. Yeah, I'm enjoying myself. My main complaint is that the 4th episode should have been longer, and I know I never say that. Usually, like, streaming shows, the episodes are too long, but I feel like with that 4th episode, it was like barely 30 minutes. And I'm like, you needed it to be 45. It needed to be 45 minutes. Like, I feel like it cut it off too early. We didn't quite get enough meat on the bones, you know? So I'm like, that's like my main complaint.
It was 35 minutes long, and I loved it. I was just like, holy shit, this is 35 minutes long. This is amazing.
The other episodes were 42. Like, you need to keep them the same length. Like,
well, the first episode was 38 or 39 episodes. 2 and 3 were roughly 42 minutes long.
Yeah.
And the 4th episode was 35 minutes long. So I was like, I am so perfectly okay with this. Please, a short episode. Please, my kingdom. Kingdom for a short
episode. With a show like this, I'm fine with 45-minute episodes. Like, I really am. I can understand the need for 30-minute episodes for some shows, but like this particular show, I'm like, no, I need a little bit more. Because I also feel like I don't know. I feel like they're going to run into a problem when they get to the end of this, that it's going to feel like they rushed everything by the end because they didn't take time to build up some of these quest moments by the end. It depends on where they decide to end the first season. That's the thing. Like, are they ending it where the book ended, or are they ending it like partway through the book and then like season 2 is going to be the rest of the book? You know what I mean? It all depends on where they're going and where their end point is. I love Annabeth. I love the girl they picked for Annabeth, because my problem with the movies was that Annabeth was more pretty than she was intimidating. And I get it. She's, she's a goddess, the daughter of a goddess. Like, I get it. Like, I think it's Athena. Yeah, it's Athena.
Yeah.
So, like, I get it. But she's supposed to be very intimidating. She's supposed to be off-putting. And that's what I love about this iteration of Annabeth, is that, like, you get that vibe from her from the moment you meet her. She's immediately standoffish. you don't think she's ever going to be friendly with anybody, and then she slowly breaks down those walls. You know what I mean? Like, I love it. I'm obsessed.
Yeah. Well, it was like disjointing, like because I caught some of like the second movie on TV once, which was a weird experience. At the same time that I was watching that, like White Collar was on, and you're seeing like Alexandria Daddario is like a full ass adult.
Yes.
On White Collar,
and then she's playing a teenager.
Yeah. And Alexandria Daddario is a very good actress, but like
Yes.
part of her whole thing is that she's extremely hot. You know,
Yeah.
like
Yep.
that's
Which,
part of what.
again, is I understand, like, Athena. I understand, like, but the thing is that I understand thinking that, oh, like, okay, she's the daughter of a goddess, like, she needs to be gorgeous. Like, okay, that's, I guess, an understood. But Athena is the god of war, and she's known for being more aggressive and not violent, but like basically that, than she is for her looks. Like, she's not known for her looks. Like, she's known for being that person that can make strong decisions in a crisis. She's known for being a strong, independent female. Like, beauty has nothing to do with what she's known for. So, like, it was very off-putting to see Alexandra Daddario playing this character, because that was like the selling point for this character. I'm like, that's not Annabeth. That's the incorrect Annabeth. That's incorrect. So, like, the girl that they've picked now, I forget the actress's name, but I'm like, she's perfect because she's very much, I will do my own thing, and if you get in my way, I'm going to take you down. Like, I don't care who you are. I don't care enough about anybody in this world to make a decision based on what other people feel.
Right. Well, and like even like the backlash against this actress for Percy Jackson, it's very weird because like the the argument is like the entire point of Annabeth is the like smart blonde, and you're like, Alexandria Daddario
Was not a blonde.
was not a blonde, and I don't know enough about her personification of that character to say whether she was particularly smart, but that did not seem like an overriding
kind of. Yeah, the thing is that, like, people sometimes, and this is a problem that pervades a lot of television that gets made from books or other, like, forms of media, that, like, people get it in their head the way the character was written in the book, and they don't get into the idea of, okay, their physical attributes could be different unless it is something that is extremely important to the growth or personification of the character.
Mm.
Like, yes, in the books, Annabeth is a very smart blonde, but she's also more known for the fact that she can make logical decisions without emotion behind them. She can make those hard decisions, and that's needed on any quest that she goes on with Percy, because Percy is a very hot-headed, impulsive character, and he needs her to balance him out. So, like, she's very logical and straightforward and determined, and that's what you really need to look at with Annabeth. It's not what her physical attributes are, because, again, like I said, like, I feel like beauty is not really part of it. But yeah, a lot of people get stuck in, oh, well, she's the smart blonde. Okay, yeah, she was smart, and people were like, oh, because she has blonde hair, like, it's a big deal that she's smart. But no, she can be smart without her hair. Like, it doesn't matter. Like, her hair doesn't matter.
Right.
But mostly it comes down to people just don't want to see written white characters being reimagined as a different race.
So our next show here is Monarch Legacy of Monsters, season 1, episode 9, Axis Mundi, which I want to talk about real quick. So most of the season has been fairly so-so, okay. You've gotten some good monsters every now and then. You've gotten a good couple shots of Godzilla. Like, there's one really good one in episode 6, I think, of Godzilla in the Sahara Desert, which was a really good set piece. But overall, has been just a perfectly serviceable like Godzilla adjacent TV show. Episode 9 is great. Episode 9 is doing a lot of like really fun like sci-fi Godzilla ideas of like the like the like monster underworld and characters being trapped there and like time dilation and like catching up the like 50s and 60s plot up to like the 80s. So like, it's a lot of like really fun stuff. And also like kind of tragic, devastating things for some characters with like where the plot kind of leaves them. Because we have like one more episode of the season. But the thing that I want to talk about here is this show has perhaps one of the funniest love triangles I've ever seen on a TV show. Which is, and it's not the one you're going to be thinking of. So, in the first, like, 3 or 4 episodes, I'm looking at Kate and May, who are, like, two of the younger people on the show who are going on the run together. And I'm looking at them, I'm like, you two have weird energy. And I'm trying to figure out, it seems a little bit gay, but I don't want to jump to conclusions.
Right.
Because you have Kate, who just met her stepbrother, Kentaro, who you then meet his ex-girlfriend, May. And they all go on this fun road trip with Kurt Russell. And then the 5th episode gets into the fact that Kate is a messy, unfaithful lesbian. And I went, what is happening here? And then everything past this point has been Kate and May like holding hands or looking at each other affectionately or like holding each other. And I'm like, what are you doing right now, show? What is happening? Are we doing a sibling love triangle here? Because like that's something that we've seen a lot in like the last few years, you know, with like Vampire Diaries or The Summer I Turned Pretty, or there's another one on Netflix right now that's kind of the same thing of like two very conventionally attractive brothers are interested in this, you know, very pretty teenage girl. And this feels like a fun subversion of that, where it's like two half siblings who just met of different genders interested in this one girl. And I would actually back off of even that a little bit because Kentaro and May have not had an interaction together in episodes.
Oh dear.
So anytime these characters are talking to each other, it's always Kentaro to Kate, or Kate to May, or May to Kate. The show seems to have forgotten that Kentaro and May ever went out. And the last episode of Kate and May being very, of May being very interested in finding Kate again. It's like, there's a lot happening here. People have been talking online about, like, is this gay or is this not? And I don't have a definitive answer, but, like, it's really hard to interpret this relationship in a way that isn't, like, deeply subtextual. So it's a very interesting spot to be in with the show. And it's very amusing to me personally. But aside from that, I think this is rounding out to be like a very good show, like or quite good show. I like the creature effects. I like both like the modern day and the flashback stuff. Kurt Russell continues to be great. As say like making Kurt Russell say like these very serious things about Godzilla and like portals and gateways, like it's really good. Let's move on to Bob's Burgers. Season 14, episode 10, The Nightmare 2 Days Before Christmas. Bob's Burgers always does really good like Christmas episodes. Like they did a particularly good one last year or the year before, and it's always like a really nice standout in this time of the year. So what did you think of this?
I really enjoyed the attempt to bring the Christmas tree back up the hill part of the episode. Like, it's just hilarious to watch her try in vain to drag a whole ass Christmas tree by herself up a snow-filled hill to the car, and like she keeps slipping, and then she brings it more. Like it's one of those ridiculous moments that like you're like, oh, this is Bob's Burgers. Like this is literally Bob's Burgers. And then meanwhile, the children are trying to find something fun to do, and Bob is like, don't touch anything, don't touch anything, don't take anything outside, don't break anything. And they're finally come across these skis, and she's like, can we take these outside that are, I don't know, used for outside?
Yeah, no, I love Louise in this episode because she's typically like a very cynical character. Like she has like a more of a cynical viewpoint than like a lot of the other people on the show have. But she's still very much in that Santa Claus is real. I have to impress Santa Claus. He has to know we're here.
Yes.
Like still in that very like childlike mentality.
Yep.
That is typically counter to the way she's typically written. But it's a very fun Christmas episode. Let's move on to Star Trek Prodigy, which was just added to Netflix after it was taken off of Paramount Plus's platform, which was a stupid decision.
That does seem like a stupid decision, considering
Really dumb.
Where every other Star Trek item is.
Yeah, it's really really super dumb. I really like Star Trek Prodigy. So Star Trek Prodigy is an animated series set in the Star Trek universe that is more aimed towards teenagers. The vibe of it is more similar to, say, like She-Ra or Voltron. Somewhere in like that kind of age range, you know? Where it does feel decidedly younger, you know? Like it's not Lower Decks. It's definitely skewing younger. But it doesn't feel condescending. It doesn't feel pandering. There are mature elements to it. It has a good amount of maturity. But it is still decidedly like for younger people.
Yeah.
You know? But it's very enjoyable. So it's about a bunch of younger people who have been working on a prison colony and find a advanced Starfleet ship that's been buried in the bottom of their mining colony and escape from a big scary bad guy voiced by John Noble.
Oh, nice.
Yes, John Noble and his henchman voiced by Jimmy Simpson. It's got a good cast of kids as well, with Ella Purnell from Yellow Jackets and Arcane, Jason Mantzoukas all over the place, and Kate Mulgrew reprising her role as Captain Janeway, as the training hologram aboard the ship.
Nice.
And this is just doing a lot of like really fun things. There's one episode where the kid that named himself de facto captain takes the Kobayashi Maru hologram on board, and uses like holograms of Spock and Beverly Crusher and Scotty and Uhura and Odo. And since most of them have passed on, they used a lot of like archival footage or like archival voice recordings from like previous Star Trek works, and just like kind of slot them into these scenes, which is both slightly uncomfortable, but also works like really well emotionally as he tries to figure this out. Yeah, it's a very fun Star Trek show. It's also kind of dark at points. There's like timey-wimey, dark, sinister villain plot, and the whole show about them trying to get back to the Federation, and the show concocting barriers for why they cannot go back, and yeah, it's very fun. So I would encourage everyone to, if you like Star Trek, to go and watch that. So let's move on to For All Mankind, Season 4, Episode 8, Brazil.
Actually, okay, wait. Was I supposed to watch episode 8 or episode 9? Because 9 was called Brazil. Yeah, 9 was called Brazil, 8 was called Legacy.
Okay.
And 9, Brazil was the one that aired this week.
Okay, I think I meant to put Legacy.
Okay, no worries. I mean, I watched 8 like a while ago, so I don't remember exactly what happened to 8. Because I watched it before the new year. But I did watch 9 yesterday, so.
Okay, we'll do 9 then. Okay.
Whichever. I mean, I don't know if you watched 9 or not.
I didn't watch 9. I'm very behind.
Did you watch 8 at least? Did you at least watch 8?
No, I haven't watched 8 either. I'm planning on catching up this week.
Basically, we're at the point of this is a show that like I'm watching, but like I'm not fully invested in these characters, so I don't remember their names. I'm doing this for you. I'm mainly watching it for you because you picked it. But like it's very interesting. They're trying to do something with a meteor. It seems like they're trying to manipulate the meteor to switch its path. At least that's what I'm interpreting from the show so far. I could be wrong. But yeah, like that's kind of where episode 9 was like them doing their plot to turn off the system that's being controlled by, you know, the big guys, whatever. The Mars people are trying to shut off the system so that they can do what they want to do without being detected. And so like it was an interesting, there was a scene in this latest episode where the person in charge with getting them into the system or like turning off the system so that they can do what they're supposed to do, what she does is she has this like eyedropper kind of thing, and with the zero gravity she just gets it close to one of the grates that goes to the inner workings of the computer system, and like she squeezes out one droplet of, I'm assuming it's water, it doesn't matter, it's liquid, it's gonna fuck up the computer, but like it's really cool to watch the lack of gravity move this little bubble into the grates, and then like you start seeing the smoke. Like it's just, I don't know, it's one of those things that I've always found really cool about space is the like zero gravity stuff. And that's kind of like all I really remember from the episode. I'm terrible about explaining the episode or like reacting to it. It's intriguing. I think I really do need to go back and just watch from the beginning because, like, me trying to understand this show this far in is not helpful. I feel like it is a show that I would greatly enjoy if I've gone back to actually watch the first, like, 2 or 3 seasons.
Right. Let's move on to our last show of the week, which is Murder at the End of the World, episode 7, entitled Retreat.
Let me just say, we were right.
We were right.
In a way.
We
were right. It's the AI.
It was the AI. We didn't have the details right, but we did.
Right.
We
did not anticipate the AI using the child to do the humanistic dirty work, but, like, it was the AI.
Yeah, yeah. And I should say, I think this was a great finale.
It was.
But also, the show didn't do it. It didn't do enough to make us think that it wasn't the AI. You know?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Like, there was never any point where, like, well, it couldn't have been the AI.
Yeah.
So I don't. I think it played its hand a little too much, you know?
Yeah. I mean, it was a nice little twist to find out that it wasn't Lee, it was the child. Like, that was an interesting twist, but you're right. Like, we knew at the back of our minds the AI is pulling the strings. We just don't know who they're pulling the strings on.
Right.
And so that was the mystery. So I wish it had been a little less heavy-handed with us knowing for a fact that it was the AI pulling the strings.
Right. Well, and also it had to be the AI, you know? Because it feeds so strongly into, like, the not anti-technology, but, like, technology cautious mindset of the show.
Mm-hmm.
That, like, you cannot trust technology, you cannot put all your faith into it, because it is only, like, the idea being, it is only what we feed into the technology, you know.
Yeah.
And humans are inherently and fundamentally, like, messed up people, you know.
Yeah.
So, like, it had to be the AI for, like, the themes of the show to make sense.
Yeah.
For it to be consistent, it needed to be the AI.
Yeah.
And the end is kind of messy, like, going from, like, the whodunit parlor scene to the like, the computer mainframe.
Yeah.
Like, it's a little inelegant.
Yeah.
But, like, there's really no way. Like, there's kind of no way around
that. It is a nice, like, bookend to, like, the first episode starting with the book reading kind of thing, and, like, then going back a little to, like, give background information on Darby, and then, like, going into Darby going to this retreat. Like, it made sense why they did it, but like you said, like, there should have been a better transition into it. And I also was, I don't know how I feel about it, about the, okay, this guy, I forget, I don't know why, my brain's blanking on the guy that hosted the retreat, his name, but, like, okay, so, like, he was doing therapy about everything going on with his relationship with Lee and Zoomer and, like, all this stuff, and, like, I don't know how I feel about the show being like, oh, that's how the AI chose to kill Bill. Like, I don't, that whole, and I get it, it's kind of playing into the you need to be more cautious about technology thing, but I don't know how I feel particularly about that element. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That, like, the AI was listening in on, or, like, functioning enough to know his therapy sessions and things, and I'm like, I get where we're going, but, like, did we have to go that far? Like,
yeah, but I think overall it's a very good like adventure with like Brett Marling. Like it feels like one of the more tight things that she has made.
Listen, I always love an outing with my man Raul Esparza, no matter how minor it is.
I gotta tell you, when like he applauded at the end of her book reading, that almost felt like your disapproving dad. You know?
Yes.
Like that felt like getting a thumbs up from your like curmudgeonly.
Right, exactly. Because this whole time he's been very critical of her, and so like for him to be there supporting her, I was just like, "Oh, that's cute."
That's really nice.
They gave me warm fuzzies.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, it was a decently decently executed show. It had its flaws, but they weren't flaws that would prevent me from enjoying it overall.
Right. Yeah. So that is it for this week. Marvel Spotlight's Echo, which is so stupid. Oh, we'll talk more about that next week. On Disney Plus, along with Criminal Record on Apple TV. Until then, where can we find you online?
You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok at DorothyNYC89. I don't get on Blue Sky, so it's not worth it for me to tell you about my Blue Sky. But yeah, that's where you can find me.
And you can find me on Twitter and Blue Sky at on Twitter at the Drew Koenig and Blue Sky at Drew Koenig. I'm not on Substack right now until Substack decides to do something about all the Nazis. And we'll be trying to figure out something else. I'll keep you all updated on that because, yeah, Nazis just don't go away. You have to actually do something about the Nazis.
Yep.
Marketplace of Idea does not work with Nazis.
Shocking. They don't just disappear?
They don't just disappear. They are an infestation. And I mean that in every possible way. You can find the podcast on Twitter, Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube at Not a TV Podcast. And you can find past episodes of the podcast on Apple Podcasts and YouTube, along with any other podcasting device you use. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review there. And be sure to email us at notanothertvpodcast@gmail.com with any thoughts, comments, questions, listener submissions, questions, show recommendations that you have. Until next week.